Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer on Genesis chapter 36. Now I know what you might be thinking. Genesis 36, isn't that just a long, kind of dusty list of names? But what if I told you that buried in this genealogy is a question, a really important question that you have to answer today? A choice between two brothers, two mindsets, and two very different eternal destinies.
Okay, so let's dive right in. You see, this chapter lays out this really stark choice for us. A fundamental question we all have to answer. Are we living for the here and now, or are we living for the not yet? For what's temporary, or for what is truly eternal?
So at its heart, this entire chapter is this powerful contrast between two brothers. You've got Esau, who's also called Edom, and then you have his brother Jacob, who, would become Israel, and their paths couldn't be more different. Esau, he chose the now. He went all in on building a kingdom for himself right here on earth. But Jacob, he lived for the not yet. He stayed a pilgrim, a wanderer, waiting on a promise from God, the promise of a holy land and a heavenly city.
And to really get a grip on this, we've got to see how the Bible itself talks about Esau. Check this out. The writer of Hebrews gives us this absolutely stunning description, calling him a profane person. Think about that. Why? Because for one meal, for a fleeting satisfaction of his hunger, he sold his spiritual inheritance. That one choice, you guys, it defined his entire life's path.
Okay, so let's dig into this. How did Esau's choice to live for the right now actually play out? Because this wasn't just a one-off bad decision, oh no. He built his entire life, a whole kingdom, around this idea of living for the here and now.
You look at the choices he made, and every single one was about building a kingdom that was firmly planted in this world. He took wives from the daughters of Canaan, right? Deliberately mixing his holy line with pagan nations and, well, their false gods. He got super rich, cattle, beasts, all of it. And when the land couldn't support both him and Jacob, what did he do? He chose to split off and immediately grab his own land. And not just any land. He settled in Mount Seir. It's this rugged, fortress-like place, a perfect symbol of earthly pride and I-can-do-it-myself thinking. And here's something really fascinating. Look at how quickly Esau's family got organized. They didn't just have a lot of kids. They created a whole power structure. They had dukes, which basically means chiefs or military leaders. They were all about titles, positions, rank, all the stuff the world gets excited about.
And boom, this is where that contrast just hits you right between the eyes. While Esau's clan, Edom, was setting up its political system and handing out titles, what about Jacob's family? They were still pilgrims, just shepherds, living in tents. They didn't have a human king. Why? Because their only king was the Lord himself. See, Edom grew up fast, but it grew up worldly.
But there's always a but. Beneath the shiny surface of all this worldly success, something else was happening. A deep spiritual rot was setting in. And this decay, it was going to have devastating consequences, not just for Esau's family, but for generations and generations to come.
Here's a key takeaway right here. A single carnal choice, like Esau selling his birthright. It never just ends there. It's like planting a seed. It grows, and it's gonna bear fruit. And for Esau, man, that fruit was bitter.
And out of that bitter root, out of Esau's lineage, came the arch-enemy of God's people, Amalek. This nation, which came from a compromised union, a concubine, became so hostile to God's plan that God himself declared perpetual war on them. This, right here, is the compounding interest of sin.
So you see, Amalek isn't just some dusty historical enemy from the Old Testament. Theologically, Amalek represents that spirit of the flesh, that part of us that is constantly at war with the Spirit of God. It's an ancient, relentless enemy, and it was born from that one profane choice to value the temporary over the eternal.
And hey, if you had any doubt about just how deep this spiritual rot went, you just have to look at the list of Edom's kings. One of them is actually named Baal-Hanan. You know what that means? Baal is gracious. Baal, they went from worshiping the god of their grandfather Isaac to worshiping Baal, a demon god. The compromise was total. All right, now let's shift gears to the kings of Edom, because this is where the chapter builds to its most powerful and, most repetitive lesson. See, Edom had kings way before Israel did, but there's a catch. So Genesis 36 lays it out for us. Edom had kings while Israel was still just a wandering family. The list kicks off with a guy named Bela, son of Beor. He reigned in Edom. He had it all: power, a city, a throne. But his reign, just like all earthly power, had a very definite, very unavoidable end. The Bible is so blunt about it. It just says, "And Bela died."
But the kingdom kept going, right? After him, a man named Jobab, son of Zerah, took the throne, just continuing this line of impressive, worldly rulers.
And then what happens? You guessed it, that somber refrain comes back, "And Jobab died." This phrase, it beats like a funeral drum all the way through the history of Edom's kings. It's this constant, chilling reminder of the absolute limit of worldly power. It doesn't matter how glorious you are, death always, always wins in the kingdom of man.
You know, the book of Ecclesiastes just nails this feeling perfectly. Without the hope of the resurrection, what is history? It's just one long funeral procession. One king dies, another one comes along, and the cycle just keeps going. It's the story of power without any real permanence.
So you see, this ancient list of names, it's not just history. It's meant to force us to look in the mirror. It demands that we answer a really critical question about our own lives, about our own priorities, right now. The story of Esau really puts the question to each of us. What's your bowl of soup? What's that immediate worldly thing that you're tempted to put ahead of your lasting spiritual inheritance in Jesus? Is it your comfort, your career, a relationship, some kind of pleasure?
Let me put it another way. Are you building your fortress in Seir? Are you trusting in the temporary security of this world, your money, your status, your own strength? Or are you living like Jacob, a pilgrim, just passing through, looking for your real home, that city whose builder and maker is God himself?
So the application for us today, it's super clear and it's really practical. We have to make a conscious choice to reject the way of Esau. And what does that look like? Well, it means we value our spiritual birthright more than anything else. We guard our hearts from getting compromised by the world. We hang in there through trials, knowing our reward isn't here and now, and we put all our trust in the one king who died and rose again, not in the temporary rulers of this age.
When you boil it all down, the choice we see in Genesis 36 is the exact same choice you and I face every single day, in the big decisions and in all the little ones too. Do we want our reward now, like Esau, or are we willing to wait for the return of Christ to receive our true, eternal inheritance?
So, the choice is ours. Let's decide to be a people who live for the promise, not just for the present. This devotional has been brought to you by the You Need Faith in Jesus team.